brave face at 2, Adam's Ants.
This next group took their name from a baddie in the movie Barbarella. Well, they were from Birmingham. Anyway, they're still going strong, they're older and wiser, and they're #1 in the New Romantic Top 10. I know, I can't believe it either. Just checking, Simon.
It's nearly the end and we've got a great band to finish, I think.
We have possibly the greatest band to finish.
Duran!
I'd heard a couple of things about this band. People have said there's, it's a very arty band. They've got a very stylish singer. I said, well, that's funny because I'm going up for the job.
I would have been about 16 and John left art school and we wanted to form a band.
I certainly fantasised about having a band that would take me around the world. Nick and I met through a mutual friend, although we lived on the same housing estate, Hollywood, and Hollywood, Birmingham.
John and I sort of, we'd been through the glam rock thing, been through the punk thing, and had got into a little bit of dance music and funk as well.
We were just a community of, punks and kids who, sort of wanted to get involved.
We'd had so many people come along and nobody had any lyrics, and Simon came with a book full of lyrics. I said, are these all yours? I was looking through, oh, they're not bad, actually, some good titles in here. I went in and said, boys, he's got the job, he's got words.
The lineup complete, our blousy young heroes were ready to break out of the TV studio and make movies.
I remember the inspiration for the video being very much the clubs in America. When we'd gone there the first time in 1980, some of them had these gigantic screens. And something occurred to us that, it'd be nice to make a long-form video too, so that they could play them in the clubs.
And the birth of video saw Duran Duran turn plenty of heads with their 12-incher for Girls on Film.
The important point was to make a better album than the first album, which happens so rarely, and to outsell the first album. And we managed to do that, and that meant we had, producing our own albums. But then people would ask us about the videos, and, do you write your own videos? Well, no, actually, that's the one thing we don't do.
I have one worst lyric ever, twice.
You're about as easy as a nuclear war.
Once for that lyric and once for rhyming jism with catechism.
The boats, the beaches and the birds. This is what, that is a very memorable Duran Duran image, I suppose.
Videos were only building on something that was really solid and underneath. And Hungry Like the Wolf video or Rio wouldn't have been anything without those songs.
That wretched boat. I'm a firm believer that yachts are to be tied up.
We kept having this label thrown at us, decadent Duran Duran, and this whole kind of Thatcherism thing. No, to be honest, but we weren't, though. We weren't. We were just hard-working.
You're either morally sound or you're not. Well, we were, whether you like it or not.
We were very young, and we just wanted to get out there and explore the world and do as many different things as we could.
And then, people would slag us off for making these kinds of decisions. It's like, I defy you to do otherwise.
In the end, one of John's decisions was marrying wild child Amanda de Cadenet, while Simon somehow snared a supermodel called Yasmin. No, really. Anyway, by the mid-80s, the world had decided that Duran Duran were their favourite band.
There were occasions when the owners of the Video Shack on Broadway must have regretted the heavy advertising for the visit of Duran Duran. Within minutes of the pop group's arrival, the mounted police had to be called in.
Like animals out here.
It was just a very extreme experience, and it was one that you sort of dreamt about or you've sort of seen happening to somebody else on the news. Then you're in it and you're kind of looking at each other going, oh, this is different, isn't it?
But 4 years of full-on fame was to prove too much. Before the 1986 comeback album, the Nile Rodgers-produced Notorious, guitarist Andy and drummer Roger quit.
When we did come back together after Arcadia and Power Station, we found out it was just Simon and John and I.
The bad news is, you know, Andy's out. The good news is the producer's one of the best guitar players in the world.
You know, the energy of that man and his feeling for funky music, it really affected the sound of the record, and I mean, it wouldn't have been made without him. I think the band probably would have split up if hadn't Nile come in at that time, actually.
When it came to the end of the 1980s, there was a lot of people rubbing their hands together saying, right, that's the end of the decade, we're going to lock the door, and by the way, make sure Duran Duran are in there, will you?
Suddenly, we didn't have a guitar player in the room with us, and yeah, it was like 3 men and a drum machine.
We had been written off. We were definitely down the back of the sofa at that point.
So I came along at a really good time. The struggle was on.
It made divorcing my wife seem like a walk in the park. I couldn't really make any separation between my adult life and Duran Duran. You know, I mean, it gave me everything. At least that's how I saw it.
Now living in Hollywood, California, Taylor is a solo artist, occasionally collaborating with neighbour and one-time hero ex-Sex Pistols Steve Jones.
You know, with this, I just thought, I can't think about it too much. I'm just going to, like, put it down. The Steve would come in and play. And I'd say, oh, that's great, I love it. He said, well, shouldn't I tune first?
Meanwhile, the lads from Hollywood, Birmingham show no signs of stopping.
It's become all of our lives, really. You know, whoops, here we go again. It's just